And we live. Shalom, 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 family. Welcome back to another episode of Nus Babal, Flee Babylon, and it's your brother here, Yahuah, Yashara. And we gathered here today to talk about a very big topic, a topic that I wanted to make sure I cover, a historic topic. And again, if you guys don't know, I'm a Hebrew Israelite born in America, since expatriated, moved from America, relocated, and I'm in Africa, right? And there's a lot going on in Africa right now, a lot of developments on the continent, and some, no other way to say it, huge news. And it's something I've been hearing about, but I don't think a lot of people talking about in the broader scope of things, like in the developed world, especially United States, is not in the news cycle as much, and frankly, that is not something that they would want to talk about, right? So if you guys haven't heard, it's a new alliance of African nations called the Sahel states. The Sahel states. So basically, it's a revolution. That's the diplomatic and geopolitical group that has formed from these revolutions or uprisings in the countries of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So they all been having some I ain't gonna say revolts or insurgencies. They've been battling terrorism, XYZ, for a long time. So anyway, I don't want to talk too much about it and narrate it. I want to watch this video, and then we'll let it play, react to it. Some things I want to add, but definitely don't make sense to do it over. So we just gonna see what they're talking about, and let's go from there. Hold up, one more sound out. Hold up, I can't play the sound. What's going on? Hold up, pause. What's going on? Let me see.
There's an economic union in that part. Now let's turn to West Africa. There's an economic union in that part of the world. It's called the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS. Now, ECOWAS held a meeting yesterday in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. And they were in panic mode because the 50-year-old group faces disintegration thanks to 3 former members: Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. All 3 countries are run by military juntas, and they have decided to reject ECOWAS. Instead, they formed their own alliance. It's called the Alliance of the Sahel States. This new bloc was formalized on Saturday, and it has the potential to destroy decades of West African integration. Here's our report.
What would you do if you and your friends weren't invited to a party? Probably host a better one, right? It seems 3 West African countries were thinking along these lines when they held a summit on Saturday.
Students with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension. But no.
The leaders of Mali and Burkina Faso traveled to Niger's capital, Niamey, for an official meeting of their very own regional alliance, the Alliance of Sahel States. These countries had touted this alliance a few months ago, but on Saturday, they officially signed a confederation treaty and took some shots at West Africa's biggest regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS.
Our people have turned their backs irrevocably on ECOWAS, and now it's up to us to create the Alliance of Sahel States Confederation, an alternative to any artificial regional grouping, by building a sovereign community of peoples.
En construisant une communauté souveraine des peuples.
ECOWAS has existed since 1975. It was a grouping of 15 West African countries. Now, that number has gone down to 12. ECOWAS had planned to talk about bringing the Sahel states back into the fold, but...
Yeah, so fam, this is another reason, one of the main reasons I want to talk about it, besides the fact that I'm on the continent in Africa, and this is something you don't really hear too much being talked about in our country. But we're following the global news, we see what's happening. But the whole point is this is historic. This economic confederation of West African states, ECOWAS, like they say, been around since 1975, 1980, something like that, 1975. And whatever it may be, 50 years, however long that has been the standard for this cooperation of West African nations. Well, they say states, but I don't really like to use that word, like minimize their sovereignty a little bit. But anyway, this confederation been around for a while. So this is the first major change to this the status quo in a long time, right? So that's worthy for talking about it in itself, but also the fact that again, what we do know from the news reports and what I have learned is just that, again, these people kicked out the colonizers. Most importantly, the leader of the army for Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Toure, you know, he was the one who everybody was hearing about. He was making a lot of news as far as what he did when he took the power, and also when he decided to kick out the French. And it's still continuing to go on. It's been some more smaller news updates about what he's doing there. The economy doing better. They done got more different developments in a lot of different parts of the economy. They're getting more vehicles, and they're getting tractors for the agriculture people and giving them seeds, and they're getting vans for the healthcare workers and the mobile ambulances and the mobile clinics, so they could go to the remote parts of the country and stuff. So it's been a lot of developments in the last year or so, less than a year since he took power. Even in the last 3 weeks since this has happened, you know, a lot of good news coming a lot of good news is coming out about the changes that have been made. And again, it's still some things happening with just the power struggle with the French still trying to do some sneaky things. But again, he gained a lot of notoriety and attention when he kicked the French out, and now the economy is on the upward trajectory. The other neighboring African countries have followed suit, and they joining up basically, and they taking their security in their own hands. So very historic, you know, very historic. For those of you who don't know, again, I'm in Tanzania, and I came here 2021, but I didn't know about Tanzania till 2020 when I during the pandemic situation, and I happened to learn about Magufuli, Yahuah rest his soul. Again, just the point is, we seeing a wave of African leaders who really empowering themselves and taking back their autonomy, right, and their sovereignty of their nation, and making moves with that. So again, that has happened a little bit over here in East Africa, Tanzania, what Magufuli did. The country's still reaping a lot of the benefits from the economic and infrastructure initiatives he put in place, right? And we seeing the same thing happen all over again right now in West Africa. So this is something very, very noteworthy. So that's why I wanted to really bring this to a broader audience and really talk about these current events happening here in Africa. So it's historic. So this ECOWAS has been around 1970s, and you know, it might seem like 30, 40, 50 years, but it's a long time for this. It's young, but it still is pretty entrenched. It's been around for a while, and that was the whole point. This West African Federation, it wasn't serving these people. They were supposed to help them, you know, battle insurgencies or terrorism, but obviously that wasn't happening. So these people really taking back their sovereignty and their military defense state. So very commendable thing, but also very historic. So let's continue.
The Sahel alliance came as a shock.
It is clear that disintegration will not only disrupt people's freedom of movement and settlement, but will also worsen insecurity in the region.
The ECOWAS Commission President tried to make a case for the grouping. Over the last half-century, the nations have tried to work together. ECOWAS has put a common market in place in West Africa. People have been able to move and settle across ECOWAS countries without too much difficulty. The bloc is funding development projects in some of the poorer countries, including Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, the three nations that have opted out. And ECOWAS says it has been working on countering terrorism, which is something the Sahel states will refute.
I remain convinced that in the current geopolitical context, AES remains the only sub-regional grouping that is efficient in the domain of counterterrorism, as ECOWAS has been particularly lacking in involvement in this fight.
The Sahel State Alliance was born in response to rampant terrorism. All three nations, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, have been dealing with terrorist insurgencies for years. The local militaries were fighting terrorists with the help of the West, countries like France and the US. But after years of fighting, there seemed to be no end in sight. And the militaries of these three West African countries got fed up. The soldiers overthrew their democratically elected governments and formed military juntas to rule these nations instead. The juntas blame the West for the situation in their countries, and they also blame ECOWAS for not doing enough. It seems ECOWAS has finally gotten the message. In Sunday's meeting, the group approved a new counter-terrorism force. It will be 5,000 strong. ECOWAS is also planning to roll out a common currency, the ECO, to better integrate the West African economies. These are much needed initiatives and have great potential. But will they be enough to convince the
Applications to the African Leadership University are
Sahel states to return, or is it too little, too late?
Yeah, so that's that. But I think it's a lot that come with it. A lot what they were saying. Obviously, like I was saying, these people, the reason for these federations in this group is some type of like mutual benefit, and it's supposed to be security for these African nations that's battling these terrorists or insurgent threats. And the people got tired of it. Like, why are we in this group and we supposed to be having some security federation? Y'all supposed to, like you say, France, the West, America, all these people in their country talking about battling terrorists, and it's like year after year the terrorists still here. Like, how can that be? Like, it's obviously it's a slap in the face. It's an insult to the intelligence of African leaders and just the governments. But obviously the terrorists are the people who they had to remove the developed nations, because if you let the people stay, in our opinion, right, in my opinion, that you never get development. But we seeing it happen. They kicked out these people, and also, so now these people got military security, first of all, but now they moving on to economic security, which is the real news, right? Like they was talking about the formation of a possible currency, the ECO currency. So, the question is this the BRICS of Africa? Is this, are we watching the African BRICS being formed? And who knows? We're gonna see. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Whoever got any more information, or you might be familiar with these countries, resident citizen from these countries, any news y'all want to share, yeah, please keep us informed, share that. Let us just give us feedback and stuff like that. But definitely want to cover this because it's a big development for Africa. And we know, just like houses here built by bricks, anything that's built is step by step, one layer at a time, brick by brick, literally. So the dominoes are falling, and we actually they look like they're building piece by piece. So we're gonna stay tuned, see how it work out. And yeah, man, it's been your brother Dali Yahu, Nus Babal, Flee Babylon, Global News. I'll at your boy. Catch y'all in the next one, man. Shalom, shalom, family. Peace.